Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network, live. Woodwardsports.com. As always, Adham, Beydoun, Jeff, Iafrate, and Gabrielle D. Phillips. 1 for 1 so far.
Good morning.
It's usually when I don't sleep, I'm on top of my game. So
here you are.
Here we are.
No sleep.
No sleep, all action. I got power. By the way, I lost power randomly.
What?
Yeah. Yesterday I lost power at the house. I was like the only house in the
house. How?
Fucking random.
For how long?
Not even an hour. It wasn't that bad.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. So
that is
not sure what happened, but you know.
Only you. Lose power for an hour. What
are you gonna do? We're gonna have a fun day today. Today we're gonna try to take a step back from the Brad Holmes decision making, running back conversation. Like just get away from that. I want to get to Jahmyr Gibbs, 5th best odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll definitely get to that later on. Jeff's going to break down Michael Mayer, Sam LaPorta, why the Lions took Sam LaPorta, what you like, what you don't like about him, and why would they take a guy who, let's just be honest, going into the draft was rated under Michael Mayer.
Right.
So we'll have that conversation. 8:45, Jordan Love signing that 1-year extension. What exactly does it mean? Do the Packers have another quarterback on their hands, or are they fucked? Like we all believe they are. We'll get to that at 8:45. Hendon Hooker and Jared Goff's love story. How do you not at 9 o'clock? 9:15, Jeff, JB, and I all debate on Jared Goff, his situation, his future, and hopefully we can all come to an agreement, and then we'll wrap up the show with some NBA playoff preview action. How about Leon Draisaitl scoring 4 goals last night and Edmonton still losing? I want to talk about the story of Edmonton. It's that. I don't feel bad, but I kind of feel bad.
Game like that, you give up 6 goals.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Can't find one good goalie.
No.
Unreal. All right. Look, I want to do a friendly reminder to start the show. This is the first thing we're going to talk about this morning. I think it's important that we talk about it, so we say it out loud a few times, and everybody's kind of on the same page. I hope. Which is, you don't win games in April. You don't win football games in April. Last I checked, games aren't played until September. And that's not to say that the Lions didn't have a fantastic offseason. That's not to say the Lions arguably didn't win free agency and were one of the 10 teams that really general national media are talking about as one of the teams that had one of the better drafts. That's not the conversation. The conversation is there's still a lot of work ahead for a team that got a lot better in the secondary, a team that upgraded its backfield, a team that added a weapon on offense in Jahmyr Gibbs, added another weapon on offense in Sam LaPorta, drafted hopefully a stud linebacker, something I haven't seen since DeAndre Levy, so that'll be nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Detroit Lions, have done. But it's a small reminder that they haven't won anything yet. And I hate to be the guy that breaks it to you guys. And before I say this, Jeff, have I not been the most optimistic person you know, outside of yourself maybe?
Yeah.
In terms of what Brad Holmes has been doing with the Lions in the last 18 months?
Besides Neil, yes.
So, having said that, they haven't won a division yet. They haven't won a playoff. They haven't even been to the playoffs. And we talk about Brad Holmes and this team as if they are untouchable, unquestionable. This is the same team that started 1-6 last year, and the same team that finished 8-2 down the stretch. I, like many of you, like to believe that 8-2 is a fair reflection of what you thought they could have been over a course of a season. Maybe not 8-2 good, but damn it, it's somewhere in the middle. And you see all the upgrades they made. How do you not look at the team and say, yeah, they're going to be a lot better? But how did we get to a point where we label Brad Holmes as the best GM in football? Or that we say, you can't question Brad Holmes. He's never made a wrong decision. Come on. Everybody makes wrong decisions. You, me included. You don't think John Lynch has made a few bad decisions? John Schneider hasn't made a few bad decisions?
Tom Telesco? Like,
They
a lot of GMs.
all make them. It's okay. It's okay. And the way you get to a point where you start accepting that your GM is likely going to miss every once in a while.
He is human.
And the way you accept it is winning.
Right.
And they haven't done that yet. So this isn't to poo-poo your expectations. I'm with all of you. I think they go out and win the division this year. I think they host a playoff game for the first time inside of Ford Field. But can we chill on the rhetoric and the narrative that Brad Holmes is untouchable? You can't question anything the Lions are doing right now. They're operating at a high level. I love it. But you don't win games in April, man. You don't win games in May. Now, last I checked, the Lions are 0-0 right now. Did they win 12 games yet? Did they get to the playoffs and win a playoff game?
They have not.
Did I fucking miss a whole year of my life?
No, you didn't.
That's all. It's not to say that they haven't done a good job or that I don't think they're going to be really damn good this year. But let's cut the crap. As if this regime in general has done something that's never been done before. I've seen 9-8. I've seen it twice under Caldwell, 9-7. I've seen the having a winning record and not making the playoffs before. I've seen it. And again, I get the hype going into next year. I get it. I'm on board with you guys. But can we not anoint a franchise, a front office, a coaching staff that has accomplished nothing? Can we make the playoffs? Maybe win a playoff game? Maybe win the division? And then we can anoint Brad as one of the better GMs in all of football. I mean, we think he's top 10 for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Talent evaluation, it's been unbelievable. This was his first offseason with free agency options, and my goodness, he killed it.
Did a pretty good job.
So you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, of course, but come on. Cut the crap, guys. Please? Is that fair?
That's fair. I mean, considering it Detroit, it seems like, it evaluates GMs a little differently. I mean, for the most part, you look at good GMs, and even when we looked at that top 10 list, not only do these GMs hit more than they miss in the draft, but there's playoff success attached to them. Brad has checked off every box but that, and we're expecting that to happen this season. Brad's done a hell of a job. I mean, specifically on his first-round picks, too, and that's something I talk about, and I talked about it after the 2023 NFL Draft. You can't miss on your first-round picks. Jameson right now, we don't really know, but for the most part, I don't believe he's a miss unless he's injured or he's not available to play. So Brad, overall, except for the playoff win, he's checked every box. Now, the next big decision would be the quarterback, which, assuming he works that out in the next year or so. The next thing would be a playoff success, which I think the Lions are on their way. So although Lions fans might have anointed him way too early, I think it's fair to do it because Brad's operating at a level we have not seen in Detroit. Other teams would be like, yeah, that's another GM. You're operating like you're supposed to as a good general manager. In Detroit, this is foreign. This is foreign to us. So that's why Brad gets crowned much earlier, but he's done a hell of a job.
He's done a hell of a job, and again, the team's in a position to go out and win the division, get to the playoffs, potentially win a playoff game. That's exciting. I'm on board with that. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Just calm down a little bit.
And part of that's Dan too.
Can we earn something, please? No, I'm sorry. I would just like to see Dan Campbell and this team go out and win the division. Instead of talking about it only. Because right now you can talk, and everything's great, and we're in La La Land, and life is great. Last year, you and I thought they'd win 8-9 games.
First 7 didn't look like it.
The first 7, we probably should have killed ourselves at that point when they were 1-6.
I think the topic was Bryce Young at that point.
So, look, I'm all on board with being optimistic about your football team. Don't get me wrong. I think you have very good reasons to be. Brad Holmes done a hell of a job. Just pull back a little bit and understand you don't get to crown people before they've done anything. It's like with Luka Doncic in the NBA. We're trying so hard to anoint him as the face of the NBA. Hasn't won an MVP? Hasn't gotten to an NBA Finals, let alone won one yet. We do this in football. We tried so hard to anoint Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley so early on. They haven't even won a playoff game, let alone a division yet. The GM's done a good job building the roster.
Absolutely.
The quarterback's really good. But what have they done? Joe Burrow's been to 2 AFC championship games. Mahomes back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. I mean, what? Or excuse me, 5 consecutive AFC championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances in the last 3 years. I mean,
right.
Give me a break. There's levels to it, right? So you want to be regarded as one of the best in the business. That comes with success. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
Maybe you're allowed to just like play fucking fantasy football and you're considered the best. I don't know.
Well, it depends how you evaluate GMs. I feel like Dan has a lot to do with this too, because Brad's job is to bring in talent. Dan's job, and Aaron Glenn and the rest of the guys, Ben Johnson, their job is to develop the talent. So part of it's Brad bringing them in, of course, finding good football players, guys that fit the culture. But Dan, I got to give him credit too over the last 2 years, getting guys, you've seen consistent player development. So those two, you find me a good GM, typically I can find you a good head coach. Especially if you're winning games. So we'll see. They have a lot to prove this year. And I was reading some of these comments, and again, for the most part, about the whole expectations winning the division. You notice how it's more, of course, media rather than the Lions players actually talking about it, because I think they understand. And
Yeah,
Dan,
I think there's levels to it.
yes, they
right?
understand. Hey, we got to go out and prove
When
it.
you're the head coach and GM, you have different expectations, different standards of how you can have success in the NFL compared to an individual player,
right,
or a coordinator. For example, you guys are crowning Ben Johnson. 1 year as an offensive coordinator, had a top 3 offense in scoring, top 5 in yards. Pretty sure, spot fucking on.
That's pretty good.
Spot
Well
on there.
deserved.
That has nothing to do with him winning.
Right.
His job isn't to win football games. That's on the head coach. That's on the GM. That's on the team. His job is to put out a good offense. He had a top 5 offense statistically last year. You're welcome. Dan Campbell, he wants to be revered, considered a good head coach, let alone very good. That comes with winning divisions with an S. Winning playoff games with an S. It's not just having a Jim Caldwell year for 1 year and never doing anything for the rest of your tenure. JB, what do you think about this?
I think you're spot on. I think we're more or less putting more pressure on ourselves, hoping that the Lions will do well. So I think we need to back off just a little bit. Let us see for ourselves what happens during this season, and then we can reevaluate from there.
I mean, even coaches that aren't head coaches anymore. I mean, Matt Nagy won a division. Like, I mean,
Bill
it's
O'Brien won
not,
multiple and a playoff game.
But I was told he was a bad coach, though. So don't say,
Well, he is.
don't bring
He
him.
is.
Don't bring him
so
up.
we're not allowed to say that. So stop right there.
So the point is, Dan, it's right in front of them, and it's a wide open NFC North. So again, if they don't win the division for whatever reason, man, and I don't even want to put that bad juju in the air, but they have to go out and do it. I mean, they're favorited. They have 8% of the money to win the Super Bowl, which
You're in
I'm
the
not
NFC.
at that point yet.
If you were in the
but still.
AFC, I think things would be completely different.
Of course,
Right?
Yeah.
You're in the NFC. It's always been a more diverse conference compared to the AFC. If you look at the AFC since 2010, 28 possible starting quarterbacks in AFC championship games. There have been 9. Compare that to the NFC, it's doubled. It's 18. Why? There's more parity in the NFC compared to the AFC. The AFC has been dominated by Big Ben, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes. Those 4 alone account for almost 60% of those conference appearances. Then you look at the NFC. Outside of Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Garoppolo, everybody else is a 1 and maybe 2 NFC championship appearances at most. And that's why there's 18 of them. Cam Newton, Jay Cutler. I can go on and on. In the NFC, there's parity. The Lions have an amazing opportunity to not only win a division, but get past the wild card round, unless they have a bye, which I doubt. But let's just say they get to the divisional round, and then who knows who you play from there? Are you playing San Francisco? Are you playing Philly?
Right.
Or did one of them get upset in the wild card round? And now you have a clear path to the NFC title game. Who knows? Can't predict the future, but again, Let's not give people a crown they haven't earned yet.
I get all the hype leading up to the draft, and I get why everyone is so excited, and I get, coming off the season that they had, the end of the season that they had, all the excitement. But now that the draft is over, I think there's this lull where we have to sit back as Lions fans and learn to sit back and let it play out until the season starts, and then adjust your expectations based off of that.
Yeah, again, I'm with you. Be happy. Be excited. Love the draft. You can love everything. You can believe they haven't made a single mistake. That's fine. No problem. Good for you. Just don't crown people who haven't earned it yet. That's like spending a check you haven't even gotten yet.
Counting your money before it gets here. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I don't want to see everybody go down this path of anointing, crowning, because I think it's toxic, and I think it's a big society problem right now, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think we're out here handing away awards to people who haven't earned them, and it's a problem. I think it's a major problem. So let's not give Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, or anybody the crown until they've earned it. And you know what? When and if, and I believe when they win the division this year, we'll throw a party on Woodward. Hell, I'll buy drinks for everybody. We'll have a great time. Till then, be excited. No problem. Just don't crown people. We'll take a break. When we get back, Jahmyr Gibbs, the 5th highest odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's nearly impossible for him to win it.
Well, I'll tell you why he should be higher on this list.
Okay, so we disagree then.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. This will be fun. Yes. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Swiss Insurance.
Let me tell you about him. Speaking of Brad Holmes, let me ask you a question. Do you like your draft picks? Do you like your GM? Do you think he's doing a good job? Be a boss and take control of your insurance options like Brad does with his football team. Draft a company that'll give you the most cost-effective plan and protect you like the best O-line in the league. Email Swiss Insurance today, mark@swissins.com. That's mark@swissins.com. Or go to www.swissins.com for more information.
By now you know me, Christina Jahmyr, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Jahmyr at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, thanks for checking out the website. Be sure to look at all the articles that we have going up, merchandise. And if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening after the fact via whatever podcast platform you listen on, please be sure to download the episode and leave us a 5-star review.
I love it. It's Thursday morning. The weather's kind of okay. I guess it's going to get sunny later on in the day, so we'll take sun whenever we get it.
Finally.
I'll take any type of sun, even if it's just peeking through.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. We really only get 2 months of like really good weather in Michigan.
and then it's gone.
Then it's just gone. And every day is unpredictable after that. But
and then we just talk about how much we miss the good weather until it's back.
Oh yeah. And then there's the idiots that say, I love the winter time. I can't wait till the fall and winter. Go to hell, all of you. Anyways, Jeff, Jahmyr Gibbs, 5th highest odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Walk me through why you think he should be higher.
So I'll read off the odds and who they have in order, and this is why I believe he should be higher. And then I'll go into his role and how I think he could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. So clearly Beydoun's #1, and I actually agree with that. I don't think anybody should be higher than Beydoun with the opportunity he's going to get in Atlanta. Desmond Ridder, let's be honest, they're going to run the football. And Bijan Robinson's going to get a majority of those carries. He's plus 300, so that's fair. Bryce Young, plus 500. I actually think that's fair, too. Bryce is in a good situation in Carolina. Again, with Frank Reich, they got weapons. They got a good defense. They got a good run game. I mean, I think Bryce Young's in a good situation. So Bijan and Bryce I don't have an issue with. Now, here's where I start to question things. Okay, so I'll start with the third best odds. That's C.J. Stroud at plus 650. Now, I listen, I'm a huge fan of C.J. Stroud. You guys know that. Talked a lot about him before the draft, and if he fell to the Lions, I was open to taking him. But let's be real here. The situation he's in Houston, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, I mean, you can make an argument Hendon Hooker right now is in a better situation than C.J. Stroud. Now, that doesn't mean Hendon will be better than C.J., but right now in his rookie year, yeah, Dameon Pierce, great running back. But besides that, C.J. Stroud, he's in a tough situation in Houston. So for him to go out and ball out his first year, I don't see that happening. So again, he's plus 650. Now stay with me. I'll go through these odds. Plus 650 for C.J. Stroud. Jackson Smith Njigba plus 700. Okay. I'm going to get to Jahmyr Gibbs, but all I'm going to say right now is he has higher odds than Jahmyr Gibbs. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going into Seattle as the third wide receiver behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He's going to get opportunities, but they still got Kenneth Walker. They just drafted Zach Charbonnet. They're going to want to run the football. I don't know what kind of year Geno Smith's going to have this year. And even if he does have another good year, I know DK and Tyler Lockett will be far more productive. I know Jackson will get touches, but to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, I mean, you're talking Garrett Wilson numbers, like 800, 900 yards. No, I don't believe that's happening. Plus 700. We'll get to Jahmyr. Plus 900. So you're telling me Jackson Smith-Njigba has plus 200 better odds than Jahmyr Gibbs, who I get will be splitting a backfield, but let's not forget, not only is he splitting touches in the backfield in the run game, but without Jameson Williams the first 6 games, you're telling me that Jahmyr Gibbs won't have more opportunities than Jackson Smith-Njigba, especially through the first 6 games? Like, that's not even a debate. He will have more opportunities. Now, what he does with them is on him. But in the run game, we know how explosive Jahmyr is. He's a home run hitter. Again, even if he's getting 15 to 18 touches a game, he could still be productive with that type of workload. So, again, plus 900. Now, guess who's tied with Jahmyr Gibbs at plus 900, ladies and gentlemen? Anthony Richardson, a guy we don't even know will play this year. And even if he does play, you're telling me he has the same odds as Jahmyr to win Offensive Rookie of the Year? Hell no. That ain't happening. I'm sorry, it ain't happening. The Colts got a good run. They got Jonathan Taylor. They got Michael Pittman, and that's it. So if we're talking the situation he's in, I think overall Anthony Richardson with Shane Steichen is in a good situation, but the Colts don't have a bunch of weapons. Like, how is Anthony Richardson going to go out and ball out and win Offensive Rookie of the Year? And even if he does, he has the same odds as Jahmyr Gibbs. So, no. And just to go through these top 5, I think Jahmyr Gibbs, you can make an argument he's third. Him or C.J. Stroud. If you want to take C.J. because he's a quarterback,
I always put quarterbacks
fair.
1 and 2.
And that's fair. So, even then, he's fourth
especially if they start day 1.
So, instead of being top 5, he should be above Jackson Smith-Njigba.
To me, it doesn't matter.
But he's in the same realm, maybe not on the same level, but right there as the top 3 guys.
Why should he be higher? This is a guy that you're projecting, and let's just agree on the Lions offense. This isn't an offense that just caters to individual players, whether it's Brock Wright, whether it's James Mitchell, whether it's my mother, whether it's Matt Nelson, whether it's Taylor Decker. Hell, Penei Sewell catching balls. Mm-hmm. This is an offense that just, it goes, man. Whoever's open, that's what we're going with. That's how they designed their offense. David Montgomery, we both agree, is going to be their version of a bell cow back.
Like
not
Jamal
in theory,
last year.
But he's going to carry the ball more than Jahmyr Gibbs 80% of the time of the year.
Right.
Okay. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be an offensive threat, lining up in the slot, out of the backfield. Pass catching, going to be great, going to be fun to watch. But why should he be any higher or more consistent than JSN, who, yes, to answer your question, he plays in an offense with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. He's going to be the third option. I mean, I'm sorry. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to walk in day 1 and be a better wide receiver than Tyler Lockett. That is a given. Tyler Lockett is a nice receiver, very good. He is one of the most reliable fantasy wide receiver options. Absolutely. When you need somebody for a given week.
Geno Smith loved him last year.
That's great. But in that offense, they drafted Zach Charbonnet. They have Kenneth Walker. They have a good offensive line. Mm-hmm. To me, Jackson Smith-Njigba might be the only wide receiver, barring Keenan Allen getting injured and Quentin Johnston taking a bigger role, that will go for 1,000 yards this year.
Really?
Yeah.
So...
I think what's Jahmyr Gibbs' rookie season ceiling? 400, 500 yards rushing? I don't know.
Jahmyr, you said
I'm projecting
ceiling this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
400, 500 yards rushing, 500, 600 yards receiving. That's nice. That's 1,000 total yards from scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Really, really like that. How many touchdowns we'll see, but let's be real here. I don't care where he is on the list. because C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are starting quarterbacks for 17 games this year if they're healthy. It's between those two, in my opinion. Bijan Robinson, I don't know what they're doing in Atlanta with him and Tyler Algier, how they're going to split. They're probably not. I mean, they spent 8th overall pick on Bijan. Right. He's probably getting 20 carries a game, but I don't know. I'm not as bullish on JSN as you are. To me, I think he's an excellent wide receiver. I think he was the best one by a landslide compared to everybody else coming out. Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, I think he was above them clearly. He's going to walk in. Geno Smith is quickly going to realize that what Tyler Lockett used to do 3-4 years ago, this kid can do now at an even higher level.
Well, let's be okay. And again, for JSN, I still think he'll be a great receiver, but I'm talking year one. Year one, you're telling me he's going to walk in, because DK is going to get his 1,400 yards, so 12, 13, whatever it is. So you're telling me he'll get 800. So what does Lockett get? Is he another? He had 1,000 last year.
I think JSN can get 1,000, and I think Lockett takes a step back.
Okay, so I think that's more of the part I disagree with, because in the situation he's in, you're telling me that Lockett and DK, which will be the starting, 2 receivers, and then you'll probably have JSN in the slot. You're walking into an offense with those 2 receivers, Kenneth Walker. They just drafted Zach Charbonnet. They're a run-first offense, and he's the 3rd wide receiver. I know you're talking about upside and what he can do. I don't believe that Geno Smith, day one, is going to just immediately connect with JSN. I think there's going to be a time for that, especially a team who just made the playoffs last year with DK and Tyler as their 1 and 2. I don't think Geno's going to be like, all right, Tyler, even though we had a lot of success last year with you and you were reliable and dependable, we're just going to say, we'll give it to JSN. Like, I don't believe that'll happen immediately, knowing Pete Carroll will probably ease him along. I think he'll still be productive.
I get a 32-year-old wide receiver or 31-year-old wide receiver turning 32.
Right.
Okay, and what's going to happen with him is last year he got 117 targets. He's had over 100 targets for 4 consecutive seasons. On those 84 receptions, he only had 1,033 yards. Now, to put that into perspective, that's about, 12 yards a catch? Yep. 12 yards a pop?
Just about.
That's not explosive. JSN is an explosive receiver. To me, on 70, 69 catches, it wouldn't shock me to see JSN at 1,000 yards almost.
But how many targets does he demand year one? That's my question.
I would say he's going to get no fewer than 85, 90 targets. And that offense, I think, look, Seattle...
And how many touches you think Jahmyr gets in the run game and in the pass game?
Touches total?
Touches, because I think he would...
touches, obviously, in the run game, it's going to be so high, but...
If you compare...
I'm going to go for the receiving end, because that's where I think Jahmyr is going to have the most impact year one. Who knows? Maybe he comes out and just puts David Montgomery to shame in the run game, but... I would say he'd get 45, 50 catches year one, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's fair, and that's just catches. So I'm saying with Jahmyr and what he can do overall as an offensive weapon, I just think there's more there. He's going to get more opportunities with Detroit than JSN. Now, JSN can prove everybody wrong, walk in and be the number 2 wide receiver. I just don't think that's realistic, given that Geno has a year and longer than that, getting to have chemistry with DK and Tyler, and they're a playoff team. So I don't think JSN's going to walk in there and just take Lockett's spot like that. Maybe over the next year or two, I believe that. But day one, they're going to need Jahmyr right away. Like, no Jameson. Think about it.
In the history of the NFL.
You could argue, real quick, that Jahmyr Gibbs, besides Amon-Ra, is your best wide receiver. Like, think about that. And he's going to split carries. Like, if you want to give...
I think everybody is extremely high on something they haven't seen in this offense yet. I saw Jackson Smith and Jigba be the best wide receiver in an offense that fielded the current offensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. And he was considered better than both of them.
Yeah, that Rose Bowl, he was ridiculous.
I'm trusting JSN. I don't understand again, he's a wide receiver. He plays a position that will command a ton of attention. Mm-hmm. He's going to get the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs, depending on the game,
and how they
might only carry the ball 4 or 5 times if they're up by 2-3 possessions and they just want to run David Montgomery and kill the clock. Mm-hmm. And then he's kind of nullified. Again, the Lions offense last year posted top 5 numbers, throwing the ball to Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra. That was your main 5.
Think about that.
Well, to
now
your
Jahmyr's
point,
walking in.
You're going to get excited about Jahmyr, and that's fine. But to my point, this is an offense that doesn't care about the name. They don't care about JMO. They didn't care about JMO even when he came back at the end of the year. They didn't care about Chark either. It was about their offense, running the ball effectively, setting up play action, and finding the open man. So, again, I think most offenses in the NFL cater to individuals to an extent. The Lions don't have to do that. So I think you're a bit high on Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe I'm a bit high on JSN. Who knows?
I just think the opportunities, again, JSN, he's walking into a situation where, especially what they did last year, they're a playoff team. So it's tough for me to just assume that JSN will walk in and immediately demand more targets and be more productive than Tyler Lockett, who over the last couple of years
I would ask yourself, why would John Schneider invest in a wide receiver?
Because they know Lockett's getting older, and
wide
JSN,
receivers are typically not future investments, though.
No, I'm not.
Wide
but
receivers
I'm saying
by nature walk in day one and produce.
Garrett
the
Wilson,
good ones, especially.
But you got to look at the situation. Chris Olave produced, but he was the number one wide receiver. Garrett Wilson produced, but he was the number one wide receiver.
Chris Olave was technically not the one.
But
day
he
one,
earned it throughout the. Do you think JSN by the end will be the number one wide receiver for the Seahawks?
It's tough to say to be number one over Metcalf, but to me, I
You
think
say
JSN.
two, though. You think
I think
two.
he has the talent to be better
take
than
Lockett's
DK,
spot.
but in the future. But day one, yeah, he'll be a number two by the end of the year.
That's my argument.
I think by week 7, week 8, he'll be the clear number 2 in the NFL for the Seahawks.
Okay, and if that's what you believe, then of course. I don't think so. I think it'll take a little longer. I think he'll be productive, but I just think Jahmyr, with what he can do, getting touches in the run game and getting targets in the passing game.
This is the important question
He'll
for
be
me
productive.
and Justin. Justin's on top of it this morning. Mm-hmm. How many passes will Penei Sewell see this year? And I think that's going to impact Jahmyr Gibbs' Rookie of the Year campaign.
Yeah,
I'm going over under 8.5 catches.
You might have more TDs than LaPorta.
Let's take a break, get the show back on track. When we get back, Jeff is going to break down Sam LaPorta, Michael Mayer. Did the Lions make the right decision? That coming up next. But before we go, I got to tell you about the home of the $10 a month gym, and that is Planet Fitness. Sign up today, whether you go to any of their Metro Detroit locations or you sign up at planetfitness.com. Your fitness is essential. Get to a local Planet Fitness near you today. Change your life. Get to the gym. Take care of yourself. You'll thank me later. It's only $10 a month. Planet Fitness. We'll be right back.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
And we are back at the Morning Woodward Show. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, be sure to check out all the other tabs, all the other good stuff that we have to offer. Jump in the chat as well. And JB, where do you listen to your podcasts?
A couple places. So Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well too. They have a couple podcasts on there that I listen to. So I split my time between both.
And guess what?
We're on there.
We're on both.
Yeah.
And you can leave a 5-star review for us.
God bless.
On both.
God bless. All right,
Wow.
we just wrapped up Offensive Rookie of the Year talk, okay?
We did.
Talking about another rookie, Sam LaPorta. Was the second tight end drafted off the board. Dalton Kincaid went first in the first round. LaPorta, the first tight end off the board in the second round to the Lions. And right after him was Michael Mayer.
Yep.
These two will likely be compared to each other for the rest of their careers, given that they're both semi or hyper successful. We'll see how it plays out. But Jeff, I want to know, did the Lions make the right decision and why?
So, especially after the draft, knowing that Sam LaPorta before the draft was considered amongst many and many draft analysts as one of the better tight ends in this class, and a lot of tight ends were drafted this year, a lot. And they all started getting drafted right after Sam LaPorta. He was the second tight end taken by the Detroit Lions. And I want to do my research. I wanted to really boil it down and find the why, because I think that's going to answer a lot of people's questions. And again, Alex, if you can, I'm going to throw this graphic in the chat, and I want you to put it up. But meanwhile, while I do that, I want to go through why Brad, and he went on and explained really the decision to take LaPorta over Michael Mayer. And I'm going to read some quotes before I get into the meat and potatoes. Okay, so this is Brad on Sam LaPorta. He said, "That's the beauty of evaluation. When you look at the totality of the draft, there are 31 other draft boards, there are 31 other rosters, and there are 31 other teams looking for different things. LaPorta felt best for us. He fits us in terms of a total player. I think Mayer is going to be a really good player. He's going to be a productive guy for Las Vegas, and I have no doubts about that. LaPorta, what intrigued us about him was his versatility, his intangibles, his effort. Yeah, he can do some stuff in the run game and block, but he really aligns in multiple different spots, whether the slot or the outside." Now remember that for a second. The slot or the outside or as a wing. He was playing wildcat quarterback for them, I think in the bowl game versus Kentucky. He's a guy who can do a lot of different things. I really like his ball skills, and run after the catch is really intriguing for us, so we're excited to get him. Now, Brad highlighted a lot of things that I'm going to go into here. And again, coming out Michael Mayer, besides Dalton Kincaid, I mean, I've seen Michael Mayer as high as the best tight end in this draft. Now let's go through the collegiate stats, because before I get into everything else. So Michael Mayer on Notre Dame. Notre Dame this year was 33rd in points per game. They were 52nd in yards per game and 20th in points per play. Michael Mayer, over the last couple seasons, he put up, we'll go with the last 2 seasons. That's really where these guys were the most productive. Last 2 seasons for Michael Mayer, 71 receptions for 840 yards. The next year, 67 receptions for 800 yards. Okay, so let's look at Sam LaPorta's stats. And Sam LaPorta played for Iowa, and we'll read off Iowa stats. 117th in points per game, 129th in yards per game, and 108 points per play. And we'll just go yards per play, 126. So you notice the discrepancy there in the offense they played in. Remember that. So there you go. Michael Mayer this year, like I said, 71 catches, 67 catches this year. Let's go to Sam LaPorta. 53 catches the year prior, 58 catches this year. So think about that. Almost 30 more targets, roughly 20 to 30 targets more for Michael Mayer. Now look at the stats. 800 yards the last 2 seasons for Michael Mayer, 650 roughly for Sam LaPorta. So you're telling me 25 to 30 less targets, but only 150 less yards. So think about that. Now the first thing all our minds go to is, well, yards after catch, right? And the way he was utilized at Iowa. Absolutely. Sam LaPorta not just lined up, he lined up in the slot. They moved Sam LaPorta all around. And the thing that intrigues even Brad and me and most Lions fans about LaPorta is yards after catch. You look at some of the better offenses, an offense like the 49ers, for example, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, guys that can what? Yards after catch. That's the big thing here. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam LaPorta, yards after catch. Now, I want to go through the combine. So you went through the opportunities they got at both their respective schools. Now, I want to go through the combine because this matters. And Brad obviously values the combine. You talked about Jack Campbell being the most athletic linebacker. He looks at this. Let's compare. 40-yard dash, okay? Sam LaPorta, 4.59. Michael Mayer, 4.7. Okay, we'll go down the list. 10-yard split. It's crazy how different these are. Michael Mayer, 1.66 in their 10-yard split. Sam LaPorta, 1.59. Vertical jump for Sam LaPorta, 35 inches. Vertical jump for Michael Mayer, 32 inches. Broad jump, 9 feet. 9 inches for Michael Mayer. Same thing for Sam LaPorta, 10 inches. In the 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuttle, Sam LaPorta participated. Michael Mayer did not, so I'm not going to compare those. But the point I'm making is this. Although Sam LaPorta was the second-best tight end drafted, you look at the opportunities they were both given at college, it's clear as day that Sam LaPorta, despite being in one of the worst offenses in all of college football, only put up a little bit less production than Michael Mayer. Now, the touchdowns, of course, are very different, but how many touchdowns did Iowa score this year? You got that number off the top of your head? There's not many. So they obviously love Sam LaPorta for what he brings, not only in the run game, but where they can move him, his versatility. I mean, you look at Sam LaPorta and Jahmyr Gibbs for Jared Goff, get the ball out. Get the ball in these guys' hands, and they'll make plays. That's all it is. So trying to understand why Brad Holmes took Sam LaPorta over Michael Mayer, because I know that was a big conversation. Sam LaPorta, he tore his meniscus in college, which is true. And Brad Holmes has a history of drafting players that have gotten injured, so I get the jokes. But if you're talking strictly off the player, I mean, I agree with Brad Holmes. If we're talking tight ends and what they can be, yards after catch, that's what you look for. Guys that can make people miss. Sam LaPorta did that at a much higher rate than Michael Mayer. So, again, before we look at just mock drafts and look at, well, I saw Michael Mayer in the first round every time. I never saw Sam LaPorta. That's the problem, because people get so dependent on mock drafts that they psychologically can't understand why a GM like Brad Holmes would take a guy like Sam LaPorta over Michael Mayer. It's not all based on mock drafts. It's based off a lot of things. And to put it simple, Sam LaPorta can offer more to the Lions and fits the Lions better in what they want to do with utilizing their tight ends than Michael Mayer. I rest my case.
And I will say that Holmes had said several times, like, I completely get people doing mock drafts. I respect it. I get that they do it for their careers, but I do not give a shit.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, look, as much as everybody wants to freak out about mock drafts being wrong this year, you go back over the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, however long this has been around, public has been more right than NFL GMs.
And real quick,
so,
I meant 9 feet, 10 feet. That's the difference in the broad jump.
Oh, you're not talking about their dunks?
No, not inches.
Okay.
Excuse me. 10 feet.
I thought we were dealing with mega monsters.
I was
here.
flying through. I misinterpreted that. But yes, 10 feet for Sam LaPorta. But I sent you the graphic for both of their measurements. I want to throw this up for a second. This is per Detroit Elite. Check
Okay,
this
look,
out.
Brad Holmes has a type of player.
There you go.
I'll give you that. Clearly, he values some things over others. If you look between Michael Mayer and Sam LaPorta, the biggest thing that jumps off to me, it's not about any of the measurables. It's his ability to break tackles. To have a tight end on this team, it's not about having a vertical threat. It's not about a guy that can occupy space in the middle of the field. It's not the way this offense works. And I always bring up the New York Jets game. I believe I'm correct by saying the Jets game, yes?
With Brock Wright.
Where Brock Wright on a play action ran an underneath route to the opposite side of the field, caught the ball, and took it, 30, 40 yards for a touchdown, essentially. Okay? Now, I want you to envision that, but with Sam LaPorta, and that's kind of how I see any tight end, obviously him working really well in this offense, is you're always going to line up, not always, but a majority of the time, this team in certain situations is going to line up in a 2 tight end set. And they are going to go for the every once in a while, occasional play action double screen, where you have one option on the right side and another option on the left, and that option on the left, likely or right, will be Sam LaPorta on a tight end screen.
Right.
We see this all the time. Matthew Stafford made this famous in Detroit during his time here. The offense is going to open up completely with Sam LaPorta. I think they identified, hey, could we live without a tight end? Yeah. Does he check all of our boxes, though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is he available on the board? Yeah. Is he going to be an instant upgrade? And he's reliable? Yeah. It's hard to hate a pick like that when they just fit so well. Sam LaPorta fits much better in this offense than Michael Mayer.
That's
to me,
the
a
point.
guy like Michael Mayer, and I'm not trying to dog Darren Waller's athleticism because it's unbelievable, but you're talking a guy that is looking to stretch the field horizontally and vertically. A guy that can run a deep in 15, and a guy that can run a straight go in the middle of the field, and a guy that can occupy a lot of the space. That's what Michael Mayer is going to do. But you don't want that in Detroit. And without sounding too corny here, Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, I mean, not super athletes, but speed.
Yes.
This is an offense that's working on speed. They're trying to get faster and faster and faster. And I'm sorry, Brock Wright is not Sam LaPorta. Jahmyr Gibbs is infinitely more gifted and talented and athletic than Jamal Williams.
Right.
This is an immediate upgrade. Like Brad Holmes has already said multiple times, these are day one players. I think they fit in the offense, and I think Ben Johnson is just licking his chops right now. So excited to absolutely go to work on the rest of the league.
And I think they value route running. And Sam LaPorta, if you watch the tape, he's an excellent route runner as a 6'3", 6'4" tight end. Like, it's unbelievable. And that's why Iowa trusted him. Even how bad the offense was, even how bad and disgusting that Iowa offense was, they still moved Sam LaPorta around, and he led the team in receptions. So, again, Sam LaPorta, that's the argument to make. You hit on it, too. He fits the Lions better. You can bring up the combine stats. You can bring up the opportunities they both had at both the respective colleges. But it comes down to what can this player be. It's clear Sam LaPorta checks a lot more boxes for Brad Holmes than Michael Mayer did. So
fair enough.
We'll
Good
see.
job. Good job. I like that. I enjoyed it. When we get back, Jordan Love signs the one-year extension. The Bears have the offseason they had in the free agency and then the draft. We'll get to the Vikings. To kind of a state of the NFC North right now. Who are you confident in? Who are you not? Jeff, myself, JB, and Gabby will all share our thoughts on the NFC North coming up next. But before we do, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Cousins Maine Lobster. Let me tell you about them. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen now, or go to cousinsmainelobster.com. Find out where their food trucks are going to be located today, and go treat yourself to some lobster tacos, clam chowder soup, and of course a side of tots if you're feeling heavy. You'll thank me later. Enjoy it. It's delicious. Check them out, Cousins Maine Lobster. We'll see you right after the break.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the three biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
All right, it's 8:46 on a beautiful Thursday morning. Thank you to everybody who is joining us today. Adham, Beydoun, Jeff Iafrate, and Gabrielle D. Phillips. The Morning Woodward Show. Guys, if you're missing the show live, you can always go back after the fact, download the podcast, leave a 5-star review, or you can drop a like on this video, subscribe to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Probably 30, 40 subs away from 43,000, so that's going to be a fun number to hit later today. Can't wait for that. But, Jeff?
Talk to me.
State of the NFC North. Jordan Love signs a one-year extension. Kind of expected after the whole Rodgers move. Green Bay, to me, had an okay draft. I think they missed on their spots in the way they traded a lot. I think they passed on a lot of good football players.
Yeah.
But this is still a good secondary. They've got some good players on the defensive line and the linebacker position. Offensively, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, you can respect it, but it's not carrying you to the playoffs. Romeo Doubs, unproven. Christian Watson,
they got Jaden
not
Reed.
A reliable one. He still has a lot of work to do.
Yep. I like Jaden Reed, but again,
sure.
I don't know.
Jaden Reed is probably going to be really good year one. I'm rooting for him, but I'm not sold on the Packers contending in the North this year. We'll go to the Vikings. They hired Brian Flores, and that's the end of the Vikings story. And then there's the the Chicago Bears, who spent almost $80 million on two linebackers and had themselves a draft. They got the offensive lineman they wanted. They traded back a spot. They made some moves. Okay, no problem. It's tough for me to sit here and say all three of these teams have improved as much as the Lions have in the last 12, 24 months. But also, the reality was the Lions were always so far behind that vast improvement was expected. I think 10 wins the division in the North this year.
I agree.
I think 10-7 gets the job done. Now, what teams do I think will get to that 10-win mark, or who will get close? Obviously, I think the Lions are going to win 10, 11 games this year. Chicago, I wouldn't put it past them to win 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Depending on luck. I'm still not sold on Justin Fields throwing the ball. If he comes out and hits 64, 65% of his passes, DJ Moore is having himself a year. Darnell Mooney has a bounce-back year. and they're much more stable on offense, okay, you can pitch me on Chicago win 7, 8, maybe even 9 games.
And their defense will be better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Green Bay, I have no hope for. As I have no hope for Minnesota. They've made no roster changes at all. They've actually lost players and just hired Brian Flores. That's about the offseason that Minnesota has had. I'm not sold on it. I know they just won 13 games, 11 of which were one-possession games, where they went 11-0. That's never going to happen again. And if they have 6 one-possession games this year, they'll be lucky to go 3-3.
Yeah.
Okay? That's how the NFL works. So I'm looking at Minnesota. Their ceiling is 8-9 wins. Maybe.
They're still
this
the second.
is a weak division.
Would you agree they're still the second best team in the NFC North?
I think you can make a case for Chicago.
Are you seriously?
Yeah. I think you can make a case for Chicago.
That's coming from the same man.
I'm the Chicago hater, yeah.
The 0-17 just a year ago.
But, again, who has gone out and made more acquisitions? Who has tried to improve their roster more than the Detroit Lions? You could only argue the Bears.
Well, because they had a
boatload
of money in draft picks.
Of course.
Right.
But they did, though.
Yes, they did.
And Minnesota is returning one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and all they did to fix it was hire Brian Flores. That's not getting the job done. The offense is what it is. They're now going to have to pay Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. They're already paying Kirk Cousins an arm and a leg. To me, Minnesota had a 2-year window, and it's almost over.
Well, we would agree. And
if they're a wild card team this year, I would be impressed. That's what I think of Minnesota.
And you know how I feel about Minnesota last year. I mean, I called them frauds from week 1. So trust me, I'm the guy to talk to if you want to make fun of Minnesota. But I even got to be real. I mean, even last year, Minnesota overachieved. They won 13 games. If this year they just come back down to earth, they're still going to win 9 games. Like, in my opinion, if Chicago overachieves, they'll win 9 games. Like,
I'm with you on the overachieving.
There's the difference.
To me, Chicago is a 6-7 and at most 8-win team.
At most.
But I think they can win 6-7 games because I think they do present problems on offense with Justin Fields' running ability. Is he going to be healthy all year? I don't know. Is he going to improve as a passer? I don't know. I don't. And I don't expect him to. I just don't. The ball doesn't look right when it comes off his hand. And you look at the defense, it's a defensive-minded head coach, right? Should they improve? Will they be better? You'd think so. But I told you from day one when they hired the guy and the new GM, that's not going to work.
Right.
And I still don't think it works. And I don't think they contend for the division. And I know they spent money. And I know they invested a lot in the draft. That's great. I'm a lot more confident in Detroit. And to be honest, I think Green Bay had a better offseason than Chicago outside of free agency.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think Detroit, by far, we can put them number 1. But that's the part I'm trying to... I think the Packers and Bears will be right around the same. I think both those teams are 6-7 win teams. Even at most, Packers can win maybe 7-8. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this is just off the top. Aaron Rodgers, his first season as a starting quarterback, I believe they won 7 games, 6 or 7 games. So
they're winning 1 with Jordan Love.
So that, by the math, yes, Jordan Love will win 1 game. But even if they overachieve, I think Chicago and Green Bay are in the same area. Like Minnesota, to me, and I get what you're saying, but they added Davenport, who's a pretty good defensive end. They had some pieces on their defense. Brian Flores, I think by automatic, they'll just be better on defense. Brian Flores, I mean, you know how much we talk about Brian Flores too, and he's just going to be a D coordinator. So their defense will be better. They still have, listen, you know how I feel about the offense. I'm not even trying to hype up the Vikings, but let's be real. Justin Jefferson, I would agree, best receiver in football. TJ Hawkinson, who was really productive in Minnesota. They still have Kirk Cousins. They have a pretty good offensive line. They still got Dalvin Cook. Like, they still have some pieces. They just drafted Jordan Addison. So to me, the Vikings, at the worst, will win 8-9 games compared to the Bears and Packers, who at the most will win 8-9 games. And that's where I differ from you.
Well, here's the problem, is the Minnesota Vikings right now are listening to offers on Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Cook. They have no money. Mm-hmm. They have no draft capital. This is a team that if they just sit right now, and they are what they are going into this year, if they win 9 games, I'd be impressed. Good for them. But after they win the 9 games, they're going into a rebuild. Green Bay, what they did so well by trading Aaron Rodgers and getting the haul of picks that they did get for him. Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of his games. My goodness, the draft capital Green Bay will have will look very similar
Oh,
to
yeah.
what the Lions have had for the last
Yeah,
few
but that's
years.
2 years down the road. That's not this next season.
Yes, but who's lined up to catch up to the Lions? Is it the Bears? Is it the Vikings?
This season,
They're probably the most capable team this year.
Absolutely.
But you look at the Packers, an organization that, since I was born, was the standard, one of the standards of not only the NFC, but the NFL. Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to multiple NFC championship games, owning the division. They have all the draft capital in the world. I expect the Packers to rebound much quicker than Minnesota will in the future when they have to go into a rebuild. And then you look at Chicago. If Justin Fields doesn't work out, you just reset your timeline by another 3 years. So to me, the way this is shaping up to be is if the Lions do things right, and if Dan Campbell can coach at a Mike Vrabel level, I think you have a 2-time division winning team in the next 3 years. Because your roster is that much better than everybody else's in the North. You are ahead right now. And you got to take advantage of it. Call me crazy. Yes or no? Crazy?
I mean, if you
Yes.
still believe that Minnesota
Really?
isn't clearly
Not for
number
this.
2, then I think you're crazy. I don't see a scenario where, like I said, the Bears and Packers, their ceiling, to me, 8 games, 7 games. Like, the floor for the Vikings is 9 games, 8 games.
See, I think you're very high on them.
I
See,
don't
the floor
think,
to me
and
is
I'm not,
6-7.
And I'm not saying the Vikings are going to win 13 again, but I think they'll win 9 games, 10 games this year. I think they'll be in competition. I think the Lions winning the NFC North, we'll figure that out, I think, at the end of the season. It'll be a race at the end, I believe. I don't think the Lions, in the middle of the season, you're like, oh, they have the division. I think it'll be something where they're about to win or so short or above the Vikings, and they're going back and forth. I don't think the Lions just take it, and the Bears are right next to them. I mean,
I see a
that
defense.
would be an incredible turnaround.
I see a defense, given the schedule that the Lions have, by the way. Everybody in the North are playing the same teams this year. Good luck. We've all seen who the Lions will play. Now, what week they are, home or away, we'll see. We'll figure all that out. But
Right.
Minnesota does not have the defense equipped to make a sustainable run in the North this year. Chicago could have that defense. Green Bay has proven they do. It's whether or not Jordan Love can even play a lick of football. We don't know that yet. So Green Bay, to me, is the mystery in the division. The Lions are right now trending to be the favorite, and they should be. I think Chicago is a wild card. I think they're a team that can improve, but it really is dependent on Justin Fields and his ability to throw the ball. And I think Minnesota, it wouldn't surprise me if they go from 1st to 4th. It just wouldn't, man. That defense didn't get any better. They only got older.
So you're telling me that Justin Fields and Jordan Love, 2 quarterbacks that, I'm going to be honest with you, all we have is faith. Like, at Justin Fields, we have production.
It's not about faith.
But I know what Kirk is. Like, Kirk, we know what he is.
Just like Jared Goff, do you expect Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins to carry a team with a 31st ranked defense all season and his offense aging and missing his second favorite wide receiver?
I mean, let's be honest here. They had a bad defense last year. They won 13 games.
I mean, they had a bad
A
defense.
lot of one-score games, but still, the point I'm making is, yeah, I mean, if you're going off that logic, yeah. Shave off 4 wins. They got 9. Like, I don't think if they go from 13 wins to 6, I would be shocked. Like,
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell, everyone would have to
Clip that.
really take a
Clip
real
that.
look at him.
I'm willing. No, it's not about Kevin
Because
O'Connell.
there's no way with that team,
That
if you win
roster
6
is not
games.
constructed to win. It just isn't.
Win
Last
what?
year,
Because
to
go deep
compete-
in the playoffs, I agree.
No,
but
to compete in the North even this
Really?
year. I think the Bears and the Packers and the Lions are better than the Vikings right now.
the Packers and the Lions.
Yeah, I think right now you're thinking too much of last year and how they went 11-0 one-possession games and the offense that they put out.
Also, what they have
But
on paper.
on paper, it's just Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and Kirk Cousins. That's it.
So give me the Packers.
The Packers,
Romeo Dobbs.
Packers
You
have
just went through it.
The Packers have a much better defense. Jerry Alexander,
Defense and-
Darnell Savage.
They didn't show up last year.
They keep adding pieces to that defense. I can rely at least on Green Bay's defense. I think they're the surest defense of all teams outside of the Lions in the North right now. At least I can bank on that. Chicago's is unproven. And yeah, you can look at the quarterbacks and tell me Jordan Love and Justin Fields. Yeah, I agree. Unproven. I got to see it.
Right.
But to act like Kirk Cousins is somehow going to carry this team that didn't get any better, they actually only got worse in the offseason. They were a 9-win team last year. By the data, they should have won 9 games. I don't think it's a significant drop for them to go to 13-6, because going 11-0 in one possession games is just unheard of.
So let me
This
ask,
was a 9-win team last year.
Yes.
If they have a normal outcome in the fourth quarter of one possession games,
Okay.
like most teams do.
So 9 wins if they did that. Now, just going off your scenario, 9 wins if they did that last year. Do you think Brian Flores makes the defense better?
No.
You don't think Brian Flores affects them at all?
No.
Wow. Okay, I disagree with that.
He's working.
I disagree.
He's working with, the Minions from the movie?
Doesn't matter.
That's what he's working with right now.
I asked you by default.
You
by
expect him
adding,
to turn water into wine.
It's not about turning water into wine. Can the defense improve? I asked you a very simple question.
No. I'm going to say no.
So they regress with Brian Flores. I just learned something new.
Okay.
Well, all right.
I need to hear from the voice of reason over here on his opinion.
JB, talk to me.
Do you align more with Adam or do you align more with Jeff?
I think I said this before. I think I align more with Adam. I'm hopeful of Chicago being something. I don't. Justin Fields' throwing is very questionable, but what you can't doubt is the guy's rushing ability. The Bears have added so much to this team through the draft, so it's kind of like you're hopeful that things will turn around. I'm not saying Minnesota's just going to absolutely be terrible, but at the same time, the questioning of Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Cook, like, where are these guys going to go? Are they still going to be on the team by the time the season gets here? Kirk Cousins, for me, although he's a Spartan brother, he's just kind of mid right now.
JB,
you're hopeful of Justin Jefferson just willing this team to all these wins that you hope that they'd have. So I'm more hopeful of Chicago being that 2 and then Minnesota being the 3 there.
All right, I guess we got to go to break, but I'm just putting faith in who I believe out of the 3 teams that we're talking about, who has the best coach and quarterback. There's not even, it's Minnesota, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's where I'm basing my information off.
That's great.
I'm in shock.
I'm
I
happy
did
for
not
you.
expect
Yeah,
JB to
reasonable
swing that
people
way.
who listen.
Reasonable.
Reasonable people would understand. I think the Vikings have a better chance of going from first to fourth than winning 8 games this year.
I'm just gonna write that down.
You can write it down, you can bookmark it, and you can clip it. And then when we play back your clip a year from now, and we're laughing about the Vikings going 6 and 17 games, so 6 and 11, you're gonna be like, oh man, what happened?
And by the way, Andrew says Cousins isn't better than Goff. We're not talking about the Lions. So we're talking about, besides the Lions, who has the best coach and quarterback. There you go.
All right, let's take a break. When we get back, Hendon Hooker and the Jared Goff love story. You guys ever listen to that Taylor Swift song? Well, it's becoming more and more reality for Hendon Hooker and Jared
look
Goff
at your
at the moment.
references today. Minions,
Oh my goodness,
Taylor Swift.
I'm on it. I'm
Wow.
on it. And we'll talk about a different Taylor
Spotify.
Swift video that came out that made me laugh, but we don't have to talk about that today. Anyways, we'll go to break. When we get back, Hendon Hooker, Jared Goff, we got to talk about him. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
Let me tell you about them. The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, tell them or even yourself to head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, thanks for checking out the website. Be sure to leave all your thoughts in the chat. Check out our articles, our merchandise. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And get yourself a membership because that is still a thing, so that you can have all those fun emojis to respond to in the chat. And if you're listening via podcast, download the episode and leave a 5-star review.
All right, JB, Jeff, I want to get into a debate with you three.
Okay.
And really everybody here about Jared Goff. But before we do, I want to talk about Hendon Hooker and Jared Goff, okay? And I want to get some clarity from everybody in the room. You guys share what you think is going on, because I'm losing my mind. By no means do I think the Lions drafted Hendon Hooker with the intention of him being the starter in 24. I don't think that was their plan. I think they've clarified that that really isn't their plan. Now, I think there are scenarios where Hendon Hooker is the starter in 24.
Right.
I think I can pitch you on that. If Jared Goff goes out and has an abysmal season, that could be a case. If Hendon Hooker, behind the scenes, in practice, is wowing the entire staff, I think that could be an option. But the intention behind the pick wasn't to replace Goff. It was, we really like this player.
Right.
We're getting him now in the 3rd round. We get to sit him for a year with no pressure because of the injury and because we have Jared Goff. This is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a great situation for Hendon. It's a good situation for Goff. Am I missing something here?
No, I think you're
or
spot
did they draft the next quarterback of the franchise and I missed it?
No, I think it's similar to what the Cowboys did with Dak. I don't think they drafted Dak to be the quarterback of the future, but when Tony Romo went down, he was the quarterback of the future. So, like, you don't draft knowing Hendon will replace Goff, but you draft him knowing what his upside is. And we know Hendon, if he didn't get injured, he would have won the Heisman. He definitely would have won a Heisman. And if he would have won the Heisman, he most likely, and he was healthy, would have been a 1st-round pick. So you got him in the 3rd round. Brad talked about it, mentioned the word upside, still a high upside, which that's important. Because if you're drafting a quarterback and you talk about his upside, then clearly there's something you like there, potentially for the future. I don't think, to your point, I don't think they drafted Hendon knowing, yes, we don't have to pay Goff anymore, because you don't know what Hendon is. But it's a great situation for Hendon Hooker because he has a year to not even develop, because he's 25 years old, he's ready to play, but get healthy. That's the most important thing, is get healthy and just learn the NFL and be behind Goff and help Goff his first year. Now, God forbid anything happens to Jared Goff, you have Hendon Hooker, who we would agree is by default better than Nate Sudfeld. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Like, he's better than Nate Sudfeld. So, I agree with you, but clearly they took Hendon Hooker. There's something they like. And again, we talked about this the last couple days. In practice, they're going to be able to see more of Hendon Hooker than any of us will. I mean, Gabby is going to be down there. And none of us doing these shows will know any more than what they know at Allen Park. So, there's a lot to like about Hendon Hooker, but to say he's there to replace Jared Goff immediately, I would say that's ridiculous. But there is a possibility. We don't know what Hendon Hooker is.
Potential future franchise quarterback, depending on 1, his recovery, 2, his growth behind Goff, and 3, Goff's contract.
If Goff comes to the table.
But at least there's a potential there now that we did not have before.
Right. And you have leverage. Like before, if Jared Goff comes to the table and says, I want 40, 45 million, Lions can't look him in the face and say no thanks, because who do you got behind him? You got nobody. I'm not saying Hendon is, they're saying, well, Hendon's our guy, but at least you have somebody like, all right, Jared, we'll talk to you, but if it's too high, like, we'll just move on. JB, am I wrong, or how far off am I?
No, you're not wrong. And in fact, I agree with Gabby. You have the potential franchise quarterback just in case something happens. I don't see him being the starter, not this season, but the following season. Maybe 2025, if anything. But then again, where are all these contract extension rumors coming from around the world about Goff getting a contract extension? So if he's going to get a 2-year, 1-year type of thing just to sit back there and help Hendon Hooker, then yeah, that's fine. But I don't see Hooker starting in 2024. I really don't.
Could I make the argument that Hendon Hooker, out of all the quarterbacks taken, maybe besides Bryce, and I maybe even give that to Hendon, he's in the best situation? Like, I don't think there's a quarterback, because again, he's taken in the 3rd round. So a Lions team that is already built offensively, one of the best offenses in the league. And if you go back last year and look at the top offenses, if you look at those offenses, Detroit's in there, they're the only offense that drafted a quarterback. So if you're telling me Hendon's walking into an offense that was top 5 last year, it's a good situation for him. So again, we'll see.
With no pressure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he doesn't.
And that is like the biggest emphasis from this whole conversation with Holmes.
He doesn't walk into a situation where he's under a ton of pressure to go out. He can just get healthy,
he can just
learn from Jared. And if there's potential there, there's potential there. And they'll see that in practice. So we'll see. I'm not going to write off and say Hendon. I know Neil Rule sits in this very chair from 11 to 1 every day and even said, Hendon Hooker will, Jake Moody will have a more productive career than Hendon Hooker. Like, at this point, we don't know. We know the bust rate for quarterbacks is much higher, but there is a chance that Hendon could be one of those guys.
Did you know the bust rate on running back, tight ends, and linebackers in the first round is higher, by the way? Just saying.
I knew that was coming.
Friendly reminder.
As soon as you said that.
Friendly reminder. I didn't say anything. I'm just bringing up.
Okay, you know what?
Look, real talk here.
I don't need that right now.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't help
Let's not
myself.
regress.
I'm an asshole. At least I admit it, though. Right? There's people that aren't self-aware enough to. I'm a piece of shit. I know. I've got problems. I know. Anyways.
Jesus.
This is not about me and my problems that are evident every morning. Anyways. One of these days I'll get thrown off the show. Hendon Hooker. Can we all agree, like you were mentioning earlier, had he gone on to win the Heisman and taken Tennessee to a college football playoff game, that he was probably a top 10, top 15 pick?
I would agree.
With no injury?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, that's fair. Cool. Yes, you got him in the third round. There's great value, low risk, high reward, da-da-da-da-da. But more than anything, and this is my takeaway, it's not even about Jared and Hendon at this point. To me, I kind of just, as a 20-plus year Lion fan, just sitting here saying, wow, that's a first. Like, when did the Lions ever draft a quarterback behind Matthew Stafford? I've seen the teams, the New Englands. I've seen the not Kansas City. I'm sorry, I'm missing the team. God damn it, Adham. You've seen the Miamis. You've seen Tennessee, even to an extent. Teams always draft quarterbacks, even when you have one. Especially the Patriots. I mean, they made this thing famous. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, the list goes on and on and on and on. You have no risk here. If Hendon Hooker never sees the field, and you look at Trey Lance, he was being potentially shopped for a second-round pick. And he was a bust in the first. Nobody's seen him play yet.
Right.
Hendon Hooker's behind the scene. He comes in, makes 3-4 appearances over the next 2 years, and he's slinging the rock and looking good. But the Lions have committed to Goff. That's a second-round pick waiting to happen.
Absolutely.
If you trade him.
Absolutely.
If not, he's a viable backup. And I'm sorry, guys. Best case scenario. Let's say Hendon Hooker is a very good quarterback in the NFL. Do you really care about his age? Because if I'm a GM, if you give me 7-8 years of very good play, I'm fucking happy. Now, there's the Mahomes and the Allen and the Herbert and the Lawrence and all the... Yeah, okay. I would love that too. I would, but that's not my reality. My reality is I don't have one of those guys. So how do I work around it? Well, I improve the hell out of my team. I put together a good defense, a good offensive line. I get my quarterback weapons, da-da-da-da. You guys know how this has been working, okay? So if Hendon Hooker takes over at 27 years old, he can play 8 years in the NFL. 8 years! And he'll only be 35. And we see quarterbacks playing into their 40s now. Is it really an issue? I don't see the age thing being an issue.
Right.
To me, low risk, high reward. I love it.
And even a guy, and I love that I think we were the first show to really bring up the idea of potentially trading Hendon Hooker. If you're fully committed to Jared Goff, this is way too early, but we're trying to project a future. Even Jimmy Garoppolo, who was drafted in the second round by the New England Patriots, for the first 2 years, didn't even see the field. And then after that, he started playing in spurts. He was 2-0 in his third season, 5-0 in his fourth season, 1-2 in his sixth season. And then, or excuse me, we'll start with his third season because he was still in New England. So his third season, he was 2-0. Guess what he was traded for? He only had a 2-game sample size. He was traded for a second-round pick. And he was drafted in the second round. So they essentially just got their pick back. Because they didn't even want Jimmy anymore. They committed to Tom Brady. So the point we're making is, even if all things go according to plan, Jared's your quarterback for the next, multitude of years, you can still trade Hendon if it doesn't work out. Or you might think, all right, we're just going to roll with Goff. There will be a team. Quarterback's the most sought-after position in football. So, and you look at the league right now, there's probably only like 20, maybe a little over, like true starting quarterbacks. Like, there's a lot of teams that are still not even sold on who they have starting. So I agree with you 100%, Adam. I think the risk for Hendon can be kind of overplayed a little bit. I mean, he's a third-round pick who has a ton of upside, even at 25 years old. Like, if he doesn't even play in Detroit, those still will be teams inquiring about Hendon Hooker. Because even Trey Lance, for a second-round pick, I know he's a first-round pick, but he's injured. Like, he didn't look amazing in the games he started. He looked all right. Hendon, if he doesn't play, you won't know. There's that what-if factor. You only know what you see in practice. So I think the Lions are in a great situation either way. They are.
That's the most important thing. And, Gabby, I'd like to know what you think of this. It's just good to say out loud what he just said. Lions are in a good situation.
Yes.
Hendon Hooker sucks balls. Nobody cares. Hendon Hooker is the next Patrick Mahomes. Sign me up.
Yeah, right.
I'll do a line of cocaine off this mic. And if he's only as good as Jared Goff, I'll still do a line of cocaine off this
We're
mic.
in a good situation no matter his ability and no matter how he performs.
Booner put it perfectly. WoodwardSports.com. A third-round pick with a first-round talent. I think that's
Booner, aren't you working right now? Go back to work.
We have some additions to the team that we should talk about once. An addition to the team that we should talk about once we get back.
Is this Mr. Australia? Mm-hmm. All right, we'll get to Mr. Australia next. But before we go, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Guys, walk in any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford, Buick, GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you, one for your mistress, your girlfriend, your wife. I don't know who the hell you want to give the car to, but whoever it is. You'll thank Les Stanford, Buick, GMC of Ferndale, and Lady Jane's for it. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
And we are back at the Morning Woodward Show. Happy to have you here. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, check out the whole website. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're listening after the fact, wherever you listen to your podcast, leave a 5-star review. Thanks.
All right, we're back here on the morning show, and I kind of wanted to use this time to debate between the 4 of us. But Mr. Australia has signed with the Detroit Lions. So, Gabby, if you don't mind, you can butcher the name this morning. I don't feel like doing it, so...
His is, I will say, I will give it, of the 8 players that have been added to the NFL through this international programs, there's only one name that's easier.
Oh, so they're all complicated.
They're all pretty complicated, but his name is Patrick Murtagh.
All right, Patrick, we're just going to call you Patrick. Welcome to Detroit. Wish you nothing but the best. Good luck. And according to some of the fan base, this guy's going to be better than Sam LaPorta. So let's go. Let's go. Sign me up.
You know who I know?
That's what we do around here.
You know who I know for a fact is thrilled and ecstatic about that signing is Fish. Picked up an Australian tight end. And I was just mentioning this during the break, too. You've seen players work out who they get from specifically Australia. I know the Eagles picked up their right tackle. I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. He was a rugby player in Australia, and he's a starter now. So it happens. But we'll see. I mean, is he going to play? I don't know. But is he better than Shane Zylstra? Maybe.
I don't care. Like when news like this comes up, I just laugh.
It's just like he's a body.
Like, okay, cool. Thanks.
Does he count against
No.
Okay.
He doesn't count on the practice squad. He can be there all year because of the exception rule that they have for international players. So
developing the game in other countries.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a bonus.
Speaking of which, if they ever have a team in Germany or whatever their plans are, I don't know how that logistically works. Stay in America, NFL. Don't do this to us. If you want to have a supplemental league overseas, be my guest.
Did you guys ever see that documentary on the unicorns?
The unicorns?
Yeah, the football team.
Who?
In Germany.
They're called the unicorns?
They're called the unicorns, and there's this documentary I saw it on a plane that came out, and it is so good. talks about like American players going over there for like a second chance to rebuild themselves and then try again to get into the NFL. It is so good. And like the guy that made the documentary, he was on the team, he got injured and decided to film the entire thing and turn it into a movie. Pretty good.
See, it's crazy too. Like there's football leagues in Japan. I mean, there's a lot of, and I'm talking, American football, of course, but it is what it is.
I mean, unicorns. That's the name, really.
I don't know about that. I don't know if
That's such a German thing to do.
Schwab Hall unicorns. I'm probably butchering the first part.
Imagine meeting a girl and she's like, "What do you do for a living?" You're like, play for the unicorns.
I think people really misunderstand how difficult it is to play football at this level. We always joke about the American Olympic team in basketball and how good they are and how we dominate the world and all that. But, Europe does give you Luka Doncic, Dirk Nowitzki, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, you can develop the game of basketball in the world because it's accessible and easy to play. Organized football is much more complicated and requires so many bodies. With basketball, you just train by yourself and you can become a really good basketball player if you train hard enough. That's not how it works in football. So I don't know how you develop the game of football to the world. I find that much more difficult,
easy.
so I'm not sure what the NFL's plans are, but
plus on this
good
team,
luck.
I think it was really interesting because everybody on the team except for the American players all had full-time jobs outside of also playing on this team.
I mean, you see that in
professionally.
England with football, like the soccer version for them, where some of these lower league teams that don't really have all the money, they'll work a full-time job, go to practice, play on the weekend, and rinse and repeat. And if by chance they get promoted enough, they make it big time. But
and it's tough because basketball and football, you could play by yourself essentially, practice by yourself. American football, if you're trying to practice by yourself, it's tough. So that's why there's a difference too.
All right. Well, I want to end. I want to end on the next 7-8 minutes. I just want to get this debate out of the way. Okay. I'm not asking you. I'm not demanding that you guys give me a clear-cut yes or no. Fuck you, Adam. Okay.
I might do that still, but
probably. You're mean to me. People don't understand what you do behind the scenes. Anyways, moving on. This guy calls me late at night, by the way, yelling at me. Unacceptable. The prep's not good enough. Stop. I'm not happy with the show. Where's my acai bowl before the show? Just complaining about everything. Anyways.
My avocado toast.
With a side of hot chocolate with whipped cream.
Oh,
Jesus.
yeah.
And my frappuccino.
I know. White stuff stuck in the back of your throat.
Okay,
anyways,
why do we gotta go there? All right,
moving on.
You're basic.
Here's what I want answered today, if possible. Okay? I want to get this debate over with. We all know 23, Goff's the QB1.
Yes.
I want to know right now, and you give me the scenario where it does or doesn't work out this way. The 2024 starter, who do you expect to be? Jared Goff, Hendon Hooker.
Well, at this point, before I even see Jared this season, I would assume
And you can
Jared.
talk me into either one.
I would assume
you can
Jared.
make your case.
But again, there's so many things I can't predict, like how Jared plays, what he asks for. Like it's a tough question. But
JB,
right now, Goff. I don't know anything right now.
I have to agree. As of right now, it's got to be Jared Goff because you don't know how he's going to perform.
Okay, thank you though. Well, I didn't mean this as a trick question. I knew both of you would probably answer Goff, barring any shocking response. But the reason why I wanted to do this was, okay, so we're on the same page. Everybody in the chat saying Goff. So we all agree. You can win with Goff this year. You can probably win with him next year. And if you extend him, you can continue on like the Alex Smith Kansas City Chiefs did.
Right.
And I'm not saying there's going to be a Mahomes available at 10 if you trade up like they did. But it's a copycat league. And if Hendon Hooker sits for 2-3 years and he's 28 and then he takes over and he's ready and he's actually good and Goff kind of reached his ceiling, you still get 7, 8, 9 years of,
again,
really good football from Hendon Hooker still. So, to me, I think the Lions have a great setup right now. I think there isn't any pressure. And, yeah, I would agree with both of you. I expect Jared Goff to be the starter in 24, barring catastrophe or Hendon Hooker showing out
just
in practice at Allen Park and the team and the, and the front office team, the coaching staff are just, wow, in love, impressed, in awe, can't believe what they're seeing from Hendon Hooker. He's that much better. That to me is what it would take.
And Jared struggling. Like, let's say they still win games and he's struggling.
No, even if Jared is good. Alex Smith won 12 games, the division.
And he had a pretty good year,
and got replaced.
Yeah, statistically, too.
So, I'm not going to buy into that. I think there is a ceiling with Jared. I don't know if it's getting to a Super Bowl, though. I don't. He got to a Super Bowl with McVay and the Rams, but Aaron Donald, keep the lead.
Right.
I mean,
he was on
a stacked team.
He was on a rookie
I
contract.
don't think the Lions have that right now. It's
Yes.
not even the rookie contract either. He had Sean McVay as his head coach. Sean McVay is one of the 15, 20 best coaches ever. Ever.
True.
So, is Dan Campbell that? Or is Dan Campbell going to be a Jim Caldwell? Or is he going to be Mike Vrabel good? Or can he be Andy Reid, Sean Payton level good? I don't know. I don't. And that's all variant and dependent on what this team can be. But if Goff gets you to an NFC title game and then you flake out and then next year you get bounced in the divisional round, well, then I think you've identified a ceiling here. And then you move on. But if you get to consecutive or 2 NFC championships in the next 3 years, and this is such out-of-the-world talk, but I'm trying to set up the scenario for you guys, and you still don't get to a Super Bowl, you can say, I love Jared, I love Jimmy Garoppolo, I can get to the big game with them, but can I win it? And that's where most people, I think, would say no. You won't win because of them. You can win with them, though. But again, I would take those. I would take those glory years, absolutely. And I wouldn't hate Goff for it one bit.
Yeah.
So sign me up. And that's kind of the mentality I'm trying to get here, is go win the division. Go host some playoff games. Win some playoff games. Talk about maybe even getting to an NFC championship game. And then we can talk about, is Jared Goff a good enough quarterback to win the Super Bowl? Is Dan Campbell a good enough coach to... I would love those conversations. Sign me up. But you're not there yet.
He's a good enough quarterback for this next step.
Absolutely. And that's the exact point that needs to be made. Jared Goff is good enough. And that's why I asked you guys the question. To get you to multiple division titles. To win you a playoff game or 2. Something you haven't done since 1991.
Right.
Which is the first step that we're looking to do.
Yes.
It's the most realistic
And I think you can take
step.
it with him. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends also, because you mentioned, it depends what they think of Hendon Hooker. And that's why I brought up Jared Goff and how he plays, because if they're winning games, but they understand, well, we're winning games, but it's not really strictly because of Jared Goff. It's the system. We're finding ways to win these games. The defense is much improved. Then I think there's still a way that Hendon can slide in. I mean, even you look at Alex Smith, his last year as a starting quarterback in Kansas City, had a good year statistically, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but they lost in the wild card, even going 10-6. So it just depends, I guess, on a lot of things. But you're right. If they make it to back-to-back NFC title games, the risk, you putting Hendon in there, you better get back to an NFC title game, especially if Jared's playing well. But again, we don't know anything right now. And a lot of it has to do with how much Jared commands, because Jared's, like I said yesterday, I love Jared at $30 million.
And I just want to clear up one thing in the chat. And excuse me, I don't know who you are. Somebody said it. And I don't want to go back and find it. But somebody said something along the lines, I'm going to paraphrase. It's not about having a good enough quarterback. I want the right quarterback. I understand that. I get wanting to have one of those guys. But may I remind you, since the year 2000, there have only ever been 5, 6, 7 at most elite franchise quarterbacks in a given year in the NFL. It's just not how it works. Half the league isn't franchise quarterbacks. It's a handful typically. It's hard to find. And you know what it costs to get the right quarterback? Ask the Jets. It cost them the number 3 overall pick. It cost them the number 15 overall pick, a future first, a future second, a future third, and a conditional third. And a conditional second.
$60 million as well.
That's what it cost the Jets
Throw in
to
that
get
60.
their guy on a rental.
Yes.
Who's at age, what, 39, 40 now?
Who could retire next season? I mean, who knows?
That's what it costs.
Yes.
So chill. Chill out. If Hendon Hooker's the right guy, great. If he isn't, great. Jared Goff is good enough. This franchise has one playoff win ever. They're the only team in the NFC ever not to get to multiple NFC championship games. They're the only team in the NFC ever not to win an NFC championship game. They're the only team in NFC history to only have one playoff win.
Mm-hmm.
They've never won the NFC North. They've never held a home playoff game at Ford Field before. Let's take some steps first before talking about anything else.
He's the right quarterback for us right now.
Yes.
Let me read this comment. This is funny. I'm salty, says WoodwardSports.com. Goff is that hangnail on my big toe. If I get rid of it too early, it'll hurt. But when I get my chance, I'm going to rip him off and never see him again.
Sure. I guess. Sure.
Comparing Goff to a hangnail.
Moving on. When we get back, I want to go. I want to switch it up a little bit. Boston absolutely whipped Philly last night. Draisaitl, poor guy, scored 4 goals. They still lost. And then, of course, we got Lakers-Warriors tonight. I want to talk about that. But before we go, Gabby, our good friends over at Cintron.
Yeah, Cintron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings. And you can also get it over at Birmingham Roast if you're stopping by where our headquarters is. And right now they have an exclusive offer for Woodward Sports listeners where you can try their variety pack, their variety 6-pack for $15 plus free shipping if you go to drinkcintron.com/Woodward. That's drinkcintron.com/Woodward.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends over at Ulta, because at Ulta, uptime matters. Ulta equipment has everything you need to get the job done. Have a big project coming up? Ulta Ren has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ULTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ULTA today.
All right, Jeff. Joel Embiid returned last night for the 76ers.
The MVP.
The MVP. James Harden went back to looking like James Harden after people like Easy took a victory lap after he had one good game in the postseason. And the Celtics absolutely the Sixers got absolutely murdered. I think it's a 5-game sweep for the Celtics. I don't see them losing another game. They're just much better. I think they showed it last night. Jason Tatum's hard to stop when he looks that good.
Yeah,
and when Joel Embiid scores 15 points and James Harden, well, he's just himself, it's hard to win games.
I was going to say, I mean, it's hard to win games when your two best players play like absolute garbage. And that's what happened. Joel Embiid returned from injury, 27 minutes. He had 15 points and 3 rebounds. Like that. 5 blocks, though. Played good defensively. But Joel Embiid, I mean, as an MVP, I know he's coming off a knee injury.
James Harden, though?
But no, I'm getting to James Harden.
Don't do that.
I'm getting to James Harden. Because James Harden, all right, had 40 in game 1.
45.
45,
say it right.
Excuse me.
Right, people like Easy wanted to give him the max to be a Piston. Don't forget that.
And we know people like, listen, if you've been watching James Harden for a while, you know what James Harden does in the postseason. He's very inconsistent. And if you watch the game last night, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Game 1, 45. Game 2, 12. 2 for 14 from the field, over 6 from 3. James Harden, there you go. Like, that's why it's hard with James Harden. Sometimes it's better off, and it's weird how the 76ers looked better as James Harden as the number one sole option. Joel Embiid gets back and they absolutely get blown out. So they're going to need Joel to get back to MVP Joel, not Jason 12, Tatum 15, and 3.
Is just a really good basketball player. Last night, obviously, it was a team game, team effort.
Yes.
But to me, the best player in this series is going to end up being Tatum. Jaylen Brown, good to see him, by the way, because I know he's dealing with injuries. I think prior to the game, after game 1, people were questioning if he was even healthy or not. Cut on his hand, I believe, was the case. Shooting finger or shooting hand. He had a hell of a game last night, but look, that series, to me, it's Boston's to lose. I think they win it in 5, 6 at most.
I would say 6. I got Boston in 6. I said that before. Philly can take this series a little longer, but the Celtics, to me, are just a better overall team, and I trust their best players more than I trust the 76ers'
Then
best
let me
players,
ask you this.
quite frankly.
Let me ask you this.
And I trust their head coach. Go on.
Are we on the same page with at least one part of this? If you want to be that guy, and you know what, I'm even going to take a swipe at Jason Tatum here. You can't go out and score 12 points, let alone 7, in a playoff game.
No, you can't.
Like, you don't get to call yourselves superstars and do that. And, you know, I hope last night is a reminder and a lesson of there's a clear difference between the real motherfuckers and the guys that think they are. And Jason Tatum and James Harden are just guys that think they are, and they're not. They're just not. But, anyways, moving on. Edmonton, I have a recommendation. Play defense and maybe get a goalie, and nobody will ever be able to beat you. You should have went after the Florida goalie when he was a free agent. Forgetting his name. God damn it, Adham. Beyond the point. Go spend the $7 million on a goalie. He would have been fucking worth it. And you would have been in a way better situation. But good for you. You have Skinner now as your goalie. Giving up 6 goals. Way to go. Way to go, Edmonton. Moving on. That's all we're going to do with Edmonton. They absolutely suck.
Who do you think is going to be in the finals?
Hart, who I want to be. I want Edmonton to win it all, if I'm honest with you.
Selfishly,
I want to see Edmonton for Connor McDavid.
Absolutely.
But who's going to get there? I'm going to say...
Mike Gentry already wrote an article on my prediction. It already bombed. So
I'm going to say the Kraken and the Panthers get in.
So badly.
Give me the Kraken to pull a Las Vegas run. They'll get to the Stanley Cup playoff final, and then they'll lose. I think Florida right now look like the most complete team.
Yeah, Florida. And DMAC made a point, too, about a team that wins the
It's about goaltending this time of the year, man.
Yes, it is. And DMAC brought up a great point on how Tampa had a similar path, as in you win the President's Trophy, you fall short, and the next year you win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't be surprised if Florida does the same thing. And
it wouldn't shock me one bit.
No, it wouldn't.
All right, Golden State.
I had Boston and Colorado.
Way to go,
we'll just
buddy.
move on. Yeah.
I had
anyway.
the same exact thing.
Yeah, we'll just. Can I just don't talk about that?
We're just
no
not
longer.
going to talk about hockey then. Way to go, guys.
All
Way to ruin our credibility. Anyways. Moving on. Warriors and Lakers tonight. Game 2. Obviously, you know me. I'm going to pick the Warriors tonight. I think they bounce back. I think they'll be more fresh. I think they'll have a game plan. Because to me, Game 1, they didn't have one. I think they were tired. They're coming off an emotional Game 7 series. 7-game series, excuse me. It took everything from Steph to get them beyond Sacramento. And then you show up and there's a healthy AD and a healthy LeBron. And it was only the 3rd time all year LeBron and AD played 40 minutes in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, as much as Game 1 was about the Lakers, it was more about the Lakers playing their best perfect game and the Warriors playing their worst. And it was still almost a Warrior win at the end, given the comeback they made. So I'm not worried about the Warriors. I think the Lakers are going to give them problems. Best record in the NBA since the All-Star break for a reason.
Right.
But the Lakers can't shoot. And if the Warriors are able to figure out how to contain the paint, the mid-range game.
Specifically.
And AD specifically. This is a Warrior series. I'm going to take the Warriors in 7. I think LeBron and AD, especially if AD is healthy, are enough to push it to 7. But give me the Warriors.
You know,
I think they win tonight.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'll say Lakers. Give me the Lakers. Now, tonight, the Warriors have to win. I agree with you. Because if they do not win tonight, book it. They're either going to not get a chance to go back to Golden State, or they're going to go back to Golden State in, Game 5, down 3-1. So you got to win this game. I would assume they would win this game, but the Lakers, how they've been playing, even last game, AD played extremely well, and we don't know what. I mean, if you pay attention to AD, you don't know what you're getting from him game to game. So hopefully he plays the way he played in Game 1 the rest of the series. But LeBron's going to play better, efficiency-wise. Austin Reeves will play better. Hopefully D'Lo can keep up what he's been doing. So, again, with Golden State and them struggling, they're not going to have back-to-back shooting nights like that. They're going to bounce back. I think tonight they get a win here. They split the series going to L.A. But I like the Lakers too, man. I think if AD, and this is a big what if, because I haven't seen it happen too often. If AD plays like he played Game 1, he's going to cause the Warriors problems all series.
Well, I think if the Warriors are smart, they're going to find a game plan to eliminate AD and give the Lakers all the shots in the world from beyond the arc.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors shot 53 threes in Game 1. It's probably not going to happen. The Lakers led the NBA in free throws for a reason. They attacked the basket. The Warriors had the fewest in the NBA this year for a reason. They're shooters. 2 different philosophies. But to me, the Warriors win the series relatively easily if they negate Anthony Davis. He's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Not LeBron, not Austin Reeves, not Vanderbilt, not D'Lo. You can live with these guys trying to jack up threes like your team does.
Right.
Let them play your game. Do not let AD go for 30 and 20 for this series. It's going to be a problem. We'll see how it plays out. We'll take a break. When we get back, we'll wrap up the show, and then we'll get to Mailbag. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, we talked about Anthony Davis playing defense. He's quite the defender, but I got a better defense. It's Guardian Alarm. Customized solutions from real experts. Their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. You can call them anytime, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone with you for as long as you need. Your safety and security deserves not only technology that's been proven to work, but by people that have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT for more information.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Oh, God. We're back here on the Morning Woodward Show live. WoodwardSports.com as always. Adham, Beydoun, Jeff Iafrate, Gabrielle D. Phillips. All right. Thursday morning. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys. I want to talk about DeAndre Swift, who put out a heartfelt message after he was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. He wasn't expecting the team to draft a running back after his 3-year run technically in Detroit, where he was the most reliable, available running back in the NFL. Led the league in rushing 3 times. Caught for over 700 yards each of his first 3 years in the NFL. And DeAndre was shocked that they took a running back as high as they did, like most of us. So I understand DeAndre Swift this morning. I just want to show compassion and empathy, and that's all I have to say on the matter.
You know what that feels like? It's like you having, brown eyes, brown hair, and your girlfriend dumping you and getting a guy with brown eyes, brown hair. Like, he does that. Jahmyr is essentially Swift, but I think better. So that's got to be uncomfortable. And I want to say this before I get into Swift's comments, by the way, because I have them right here, and I'll go through some of them because he talked about Hard Knocks. I got to give credit to Brad Holmes, and we haven't really talked about this a lot, but all the deals he's made, I mean, Matthew Stafford, his preferred destination, got him there. Jeff Okudah, his preferred destination, got him there. DeAndre Swift, his preferred destination, got him there. Like, I don't think that gets talked about enough either. Brad Holmes and what he's done for these players. DeAndre Swift's from Philly. Like, Howie Roseman's very familiar with him. He talked about it. Went to high school there. So, again, even, GMs typically, you always think of they should take the best offer. And Brad kind of puts those two things together. I'll take the best offer while making these players still at least happy. Because, again, players talk. Like, Swift, Stafford, Okudah, like, although Brad could easily be like, all right, send him into no man's land, that still comes back to Brad. Like, players are going to talk and be like, yeah, that Brad Holmes, he's a jackass. He sent me in the middle of nowhere. He sent me to damn Washington. Like, Brad deserves a lot of credit for sending players where they want to go and where their best fit is. But number 2, DeAndre Swift's comments about Hard Knocks, by the way, it's like, dude, I get he's upset with how he was portrayed, but DeAndre, if you controlled how you were displayed on Hard Knocks. Like, what Deuce Staley was saying wasn't anything for the act. It was the truth. It was just on camera. So to say he was disappointed, I get that, but it was because of you. Jamal played the same position, and Jamal got all the love on Hard Knocks. It's not like they did it on purpose. So, again, DeAndre, I think in Philly, it's a great fit for him. Again, with that O-line, how they utilize him, I like DeAndre in Philly. But still, to say
I've never heard DeAndre Swift talk up until he got traded.
To say it's unfair how it was portrayed, it's like, dude.
I'd never heard DeAndre Swift talk prior to him getting traded. That's the first time I've ever seen him talk in my life.
I'm surprised he went back and spoke on Hard Knocks like this far.
That must have meant it really bothered him.
Yeah.
Like that was a year ago.
We have a word for that in the English dictionary. I just won't say it. It starts with the letter P, but we can leave it at that.
Okay, let's
prideful.
Think of a synonym.
Prideful.
Okay, that's your synonym. Okay, that's the word prideful.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, okay.
Oh God. All right, let's not spend too much time on Swift. JB, question for you.
What's up?
DeAndre Swift, I think we can all agree.
I thought we said we
I
weren't
want to wrap
spending
up,
more
but I
time.
want to get JB's thoughts on it. DeAndre Swift, I think we all agree. When he was on the field, explosive, could be one of the better backs in the NFL. The problem is he was never available, but you know the story.
Yeah, very true.
Shocked by the comments? What did you make of all of it?
No, I mean, I'm not shocked by it. I really just trying to understand why he would have the need to go back here and comment on this. I mean, Deuce Stanley was just trying to do his job and motivate him a little bit more in the training room to perform out there on the field. So it's not like he was just sitting here just dogging him out saying, he's a terrible running back or anything like that. He was just trying to motivate him, pump him up. I don't know why the need now to come back and comment on this when you're with a different team. Leave all that in the past and now move on to progress at the Eagles and do your best over there. There's no need to comment on this. I mean, you were on Hard Knocks for a season. Who knows? You might be on Hard Knocks with the Eagles a couple years from now. You just don't know. So it's like, don't burn bridges with the Hard Knock cast and crew.
And also, he did give thanks to Detroit, to give credit to Swift. He did say it. And he said, thank Detroit for everything, to the city of Detroit. It will forever have a place in my heart. We'll love them for the opportunity.
He must have loved the rehab facilities here in Detroit.
Well, rehab.
I don't think he would also speak ill of moving on when he got what he wanted out of this trade.
Yeah, and he got opportunities. Let's not act like they did DeAndre dirty. They tried to give him opportunities. He just simply could not handle it. How many times did DeAndre get 15 carries in his career? Not often, because he was injured. Like, again, it's not the Lions' fault.
I'm just saying this is why people hate the idea of drafting running backs. Because the second they start getting hurt, it keeps building and building and building and building, and it just gets worse. Nobody doubts DeAndre Swift's talent. Hell, I'm sure Jahmyr Gibbs is going to come out this year and really look pretty damn good. Year one. Not going to miss a beat. God forbid he starts getting injured. People are going to lose their shit, and I think rightfully so. So that's what happens when you spend a top pick on a running back. Whether you think he's a wide receiver or not, he plays one of the most physical positions and one of the most injury-prone positions in football. But anyways, we'll take a break. When we get back, Mailbag. Start dropping your questions in the chat during the break. Jeff and I will start answering them when we come back. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Boy.
Let me tell you about them. Big Boy Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try some classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or mouth-watering red velvet waffle. But if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. Try it all and more at Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but two vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
All right, guys, low sex drive, unmotivated, no energy, feeling lost, losing your muscle, gaining too much fat. Well, my good friends Dr. Jason and his amazing team at Custom Health Centers have the solution for you. A healthy and safe way. Jesus Christ, Adam. Get your shit together. A healthy and safe way to restore your vitality. Give them a call, 877-965-0910. It'll be done through their testosterone optimization therapy. Call Dr. Jason, his team, 877-965-0910. We are back. Adam, why are you an asshole? That's the first question.
It's a great
and you know
question.
what? We're going to go around the room. You guys can answer this. JB, why am I an asshole? And be honest. It's okay.
I don't think you're an asshole. I just think you're opinionated about
You're
things
nice.
that you're talking
I think
about.
you're too nice. Gabby, why am I an asshole?
Refer to JB's answer.
Jeff, somebody give me
I'll be honest
some
with you.
honest
I'll
truth.
tell you why you're an asshole. I don't think you're an asshole. But you know what? I think you are a passionate sports fan that sometimes does not give a single F what anybody thinks. And that's why I love you. But that's why you're an asshole. To some people,
Thanks.
you do not care about people's feelings.
Oh,
and I love
God.
it. Let me get this question because I want to address this. Jack asked, Jeff, how insufferable will you and Sam be if the Lakers win the NBA title? Well, let me tell you something, Jack.
I think that'd be the only show I don't show up
I was going
for.
to say, the last thing this network needs is the Lakers winning that title. Because me and Sam will be insufferable.
LeBron James is 5-5 in the NBA Finals, guys. Or 5-6, excuse me, if he wins it. Oh my God, the GOAT. The GOAT. That's what I got to hear for a whole fucking week. The GOAT.
All week. It's going to last much longer than that.
Oh, yeah. That'll totally rush.
God.
Let's see. Mailbag, Jesse asks, you're telling people to not have Super Bowl expectations because they haven't won anything, right?
Yep.
Then can't we say the same about USC?
No,
Riley
it's different
take last year?
sports. Different sports. In college football, when you get the right head coach, the right recruiter at a big program, you have those expectations day one. When Jim Harbaugh showed up to Michigan, you considered yourselves Big Ten and college football playoff contenders every single year. To me, that's the same with USC when they got Lincoln Riley. They blew their chance to get in this year by losing in the conference championship game. Sorry. No, those are the expectations. If Nick Saban goes to, let's say, Texas for some reason, and not even Nick Saban, let's say one of the coaches that you think are good, Kirby Smart, very good coach, any of these guys, when you take over a top job, that's the expectation. College football, totally different than the NFL.
I love this question. Brig and Funny asked Mailbag, which one comes first? Jimmy Hoffa is found, man goes to Mars, or the Lions win the Super Bowl?
Lions win the Super Bowl. And man goes to Mars. That's like a tie. I mean, Elon Musk is really getting close.
Man goes to Mars.
So,
if I had to put it in order, I think Jimmy Hoffa, I'll put
Adam
it in third.
Riley hasn't won a playoff game, dude. Yeah, neither has Jim Harbaugh, dude. Neither has Jim Harbaugh.
That's the
He's
facts.
0-2 in the college football playoffs. Dude.
Punch God, Mailbag, how much?
Lincoln Riley, look at his college football playoff appearances. He just got to USC. He turned them around from a 4-5-6 win program into legitimate college football playoff contenders. I think they're going to be fine. And this is probably the year they get to the college football playoff. Stop it.
Punch God, Mailbag, how much of a chance do you give LeBron to get his 5th ring this year? And if he does, can we finally admit he's the GOAT?
He's not the GOAT. Michael
0.0.
Jordan's the GOAT. I'm sorry. He's just at a different level. And I know it's hard for you LeBron fans to accept it. But if you want to go down every single category when it comes to awards, winning, his ability to impact the game, LeBron James, you compare the all first-team NBAs with Michael Jordan, compare the defensive player of the years that he doesn't have, you want to compare the MVPs, you want to compare the finals MVPs, Michael Jordan was a more dominant player than LeBron. That's just a fact. He's the greatest player ever. And I know it's hard for you LeBron fans to accept it.
Right.
And you know what? If you want to do a debate on this, we can do it tomorrow, like a real debate on this. But I'm sorry. I think we all are naive. And that's not to say LeBron's not the second best player ever. He probably is. He actually is.
No, probably. He is.
Yeah, he is. And I would even say that.
Yeah.
But what Michael
least.
Jordan did, the way he did it, I don't think we appreciate it enough. Beating Charles Barkley, John Stockton, Karl Malone in the NBA. Wow, like they're scrubs.
No,
I know.
I
This
just
is a
said
problem.
wow.
Because we look at, Tim Duncan, and Greg Popovich.
Top 10 player?
Top 10 player, okay.
Curry.
Karl Malone.
Curry. He's your best
Karl
point
Malone,
guard.
Karl
right?
Malone, not arguably the best power forward ever.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
John Stockton, a top 5 point guard ever.
See, I just forget, because people forget, Michael Jordan only played 6 years in the NBA, right? He only played 6. He's 6-0, guys. He only played 6 years. Right?
No.
Is that where we're going?
No, don't forget the years he was almost dropping 40 a game in the league, but that didn't matter because he wasn't winning.
Right.
So when he started winning, that's the difference, the biggest difference, by the way, between LeBron and Jordan.
Yeah.
When Jordan started winning, nobody could fucking win. When LeBron figured out how to win, everybody was still fucking winning.
I don't even want to go there.
No, I know.
I don't want to go there. I don't want to go. I'll say compare the level of competition, but I don't even want to go there. All right.
Gabby, why'd you go to Florida State? Second question is, who's your third and fourth best quarterbacks in college football behind Caleb Williams and Drake May? Gabby, you go first.
I went to FSU for acting. That is part of what I went to school for, and they have an amazing acting program down there, and I wanted a school where I could have both that small program. We only had 8 people that I graduated with in my program, and also be at a big school with football, sorority, team spirit, rah-rah. That's why I went to FSU.
And to answer that quarterback question, I mean, after Caleb Williams,
it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of guys. I mean, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, there's a couple guys.
Bo Nix is like 40 years old, by the way.
But even then, like Bo Nix, to me, it's Drake May and Caleb Williams.
No, I
next
think
year.
Gabby's going to love my answer.
Shooter
I'm going to go
Sanders?
Jordan Travis from Florida State. He'd be my number 3.
Yeah, he's another one.
I love him. Super talented. That's for you, Gabby.
Thank
Got
you.
All right, let's see what other questions we have here. Adam, which team in the NFC North improved the most? Still think the Lions are the best. Also, how do you feel about if the Lions win the division but not a playoff win? I can live with that. If they lose in the wild card round at home, I would be very upset. Don't get me wrong. That would be very disappointing. But damn it, they won the North. That's a start. And then you go into the next year saying it's a failure of a season if you can't win a playoff game. Like, that's when expectations become real and they change. So let's just take step 1 and go win the division.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my answer. And who I thought improved the most? Obviously the Lions. They addressed their biggest need, which was the secondary. Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, my goodness. My goodness. Lions got better the most, in my opinion.
Football says, I don't know if you got to this question already. What team in the NFC North improved the most?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just answered that.
Right.
Yep.
So I was going through these MJ responses in the comments. Love it.
Well, because, yeah, that's the truth. Sorry.
Jason asks, if Goff gets extended, you think he'll take less at the going rate to build a team around him?
If I were him, I would.
Absolutely.
Given I've already gotten paid the mega contract when I was in LA, I was very well off. I think you look at the Lions situation, they love you. They love you enough to make you the guy. How about, okay, I'll take less money, but it's more guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So how about instead of a 3-year, $140 million deal, how about I come to the table at 3 years, $120 million, and I get about 100 of it guaranteed? I think that's a reasonable ask. $40 million a year is not the end of the world, especially with the salary cap going up every year. It'll look like a bargain in literally a year. So that's what I would do if I was Jared. But again, I want to be in a good situation where I can succeed. I don't want to just go where the money's at. That can bite you in the ass in your life, guys, in real life and in the NFL.
Tim asks, Mailbag, stats for Gibbs and LaPorta in year 1.
Gibbs is hard for me to predict.
Yeah,
I'm going to go
hard.
LaPorta, probably 41 catches.
Like 400 or 500 yards.
510 yards.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns.
I think that's fair. And then Jahmyr could be...
I think 500 would be a really good year for...
I would agree with that.
For a first-year tight end. Adam, I think you're wrong and you're delusional. Goff will not take less than Daniel Jones. That's not the market. It's not about the market. And that's... I didn't answer the question based on the market. So open your ears, Brandon. I know it's hard for you. If I'm Jared Goff, I want to be in a situation where I am appreciated.
Right.
I am believed in. I can have success, and with this offensive line and the core of playmakers they have, this is a good situation for me. I don't want to get up and move because I want to make an extra $10 million a year. I'm willing to take a lesser contract with more guaranteed money to ensure I'm the starting quarterback for the Lions for the next 4 or 5 years. That's what I do if I'm Jared Goff. Will he do it? I don't know. Maybe he wants $50 million. I don't know.
We shall see.
But we'll see.
Jesse Adams, Mailbag. Am I crazy to think Pete and the boys are going to win the NFC West? Second question, Jeff. Who do you got? Are you watching the UFC? Yes, me and JB will be watching it. Who do you got in the co-in main event? JB, you can go after me because I'm curious who you got. I'll go all Joe because I hate Henry Cejudo. It has nothing to do with how great Henry Cejudo is. And then I'm going to go Gilbert Burns over Muhammad.
Those are actually my exact 2 picks as well, too.
Let's
so,
go. Yeah. That's why my guy.
We got to put some money on it.
Do you think Seattle can win the NFC West? Huh? Okay. I want to get your... Because you said yesterday we were arguing about them being a top 3 team. So
I had them 4th in the NFC, and I could argue they would have been 3rd over the Lions. I think it's a toss-up. Look, regarding Seattle, their path to winning the West is solely dependent on the quarterback play of San Francisco.
Right.
If they continue to have injury problems and third-string quarterbacks playing, Seattle can win 11 games and win that division. If this is going to be a healthy San Francisco team, they're winning 13, 14 games, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Listen, all that sounds amazing, but I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Yeah, no, I think I made my case, though, for how Seattle could win.
You did. I'm joking with you. I think it's Seattle or the 49ers. Mailbag,
right.
Do the Pistons move on from Cade early and rebuild around others if you can't stay healthy? No, Cam, that is not happening.
Guys, we're not doing the Cade Cunningham shouldn't be a Detroit Piston talk. Just shut the hell up. Please, let me try to fast forward to next year where there's a different coach with Cade, Ivy, hopefully Victor Wembanyama.
Talk to me.
If not, let me get to next year and let me try to enjoy some Pistons basketball because I miss watching a good Pistons basketball team.
Me too.
All right. How do you guys feel about the Lions versus Rams this year? I'm not sure how to answer that.
Who has a better year?
I mean, it's obviously going to be the Lions.
Yeah, I would say the Lions.
Jeff, if given the chance, would you suck off LeBron James?
That is not a question.
All right, I'll answer for Flannel Sam since
that
he's
is
not
a question.
Flannel Sam would say yes to that question, so we'll move on. Final question. Mailbag. Tigers need a left-handed first baseman. Tigers need Jesus. At this point. I don't know how they're winning games. God bless them, but they already clinched the series against the Mets. Good for them, but Spencer Torkelson, we're going to have that conversation in probably 40, 50 days.
Chuck says Flannel would be on both knees. All right, we got it.
Flannel would be on both knees, spitting on LeBron.
No.
Two-hand, full action.
Yeah, we got to end the show.
Wouldn't keep it out of his mouth. Swallow. Anyways, moving on. We're out of here. Goodbye. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Sorry, Flannel. Totally threw you under the bus. But hey, whatever you do in private is between you and yourself. Good for you. That's what makes you happy, being on your knees. I'm happy for you. No problem at all. Gabby, have a great rest of your day.
Thursday.
We're out of here. Till tomorrow. Goodbye.